Welcome one and all to the Cine Geeks podcast, where movies, TV, and all things geek collide. I'm Angela, still joined by my co-host Roy.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming back to the podcast. For those listening for the first time, welcome.
For today's episode, we'll be talking about two new movie releases coming out this weekend in Philippine cinemas. First being Twisters, directed by Lee Isaac Chung, written by Mark L. Smith from a story by Joseph Kosinski, starring Daisy Edgar Jones, Anthony Ramos, and Glenn Powell.
And we also have Escape, directed by Lee Jong-pil, written by Kwon Song-hui and Kim Woo-jun, starring Lee Ji-hun and Koo Kyu-hwan. So, two very intense movies coming out this weekend. Another Korean film, of course, from Viva International Pictures. But before we continue, we'd like to remind everyone who hasn't done so to follow our pod wherever you listen to podcasts like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Threads, Letterboxd, and X, aka Twitter, so you can join in on the fun. Also, visit our website, www.cinegeekspod.com for the latest in movie and TV news and reviews.
Join us on our Facebook group called the Cinegeeks PHHQ. There, you can interact with us and your fellow Cinegeeks about movies, TV, and all things geek. By the way, you can also send us your fan mail by using the link in the episode notes. There, you can send us your questions, suggestions, or violent reactions. If you have any, if you send it, we promise to read it on air. Okay? So, with all of that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the first movie we have for this episode, Escape.
A North Korean sergeant is chased by a ruthless major as he desperately attempts to defect to South Korea.
So, logline pa lang, parang ang intense na.
Yeah.
Nung sine.
Feels political.
Very, parang napapadami yung ganyang mga klaseng movies lately. Or hindi nga lang movies din, kahit yung ano din yung parang properties about defection, like, ano tong isa, yung lumabas nung pandemic ba yun? Yung Netflix na show?
Yung Crash Landing on You.
Yun. Although yun naman, ano yun, rom-com yun.
Pero yun yung pinaka-mainstream na parang nagtatackle ng North Korea and South Korea conflict.
Tama.
So, yun, without any further ado, Roy, what did you think of Escape?
I liked it a lot. I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did. Siguro din dahil parang iba yung timpla ng mga movies na sabihin natin yung mga parang mas bata-bata na mga Korean actors yung bida. Na let's say sabihin natin na parang yung sila Lee Jung-jae, sila yung mga bida. Parang may sila Lee Byung-hun. Yan. Pag sila yung mga bida ng mga sinip, makaka-expect ka ng gravitas agad eh.
Mm-hmm.
Dahil dun sa presence nila.
Yeah.
Pero dito, I mean, hindi naman sa nila-write off ko siya immediately, pero I was pleasantly surprised na these younger Korean actors were able to parang bring the same level of dramatic intensity that we usually expect from their older, more seasoned peers, kumbaga.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yan. Siguro, ang pinaka-thought na pumapasok sa isip ko while watching it, for a metaphor, parang siyang kumbaga merong The Boys, di ba? Na yung main show. Yan, sila Carl Urban, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Tapos merong Gen V. Puro mga parang younger actors ba?
Parang juniors nila.
Exactly. Yan. So parang ang pakiramdam nitong Escape, parang siyang Gen V version ng Hunt ni Lee Jung-jae.
Pwede, I can see that angle.
Yung ganon. Oo, na you see the conflict still written in their face. Na hindi naman sila parang sobrang yung battle-hardened yung mukha nila. Hindi naman sobrang parang weary. Katulad nung si A Man of Reason. Yung si Jung Woo-sung. Yan.
Marami din siyang mga politically inclined na mga movies.
Yes, that's right. So, isipin mo na lang, nung magkasama sila ni Lee Jung-jae dun sa Hunt, na parang, oh my gosh, yung, isipin mo parang magkasama si Christopher De Leon at saka si Albert Martinez. Parang ganon, na, ano siya, intense stare-downs galore. Pero itong yung mga Korean na mga actors na mas bata-bata, para sila mga, medyo, I mean, not skirting around it, medyo pretty boy yung, ano nila, yung image nila. So again, yun na nga, I was pleasantly surprised na the two leads were able to parang overcome yung ganong parang pretty boy personas nila.
Mm-mm.
Kasi I can hear nung screening natin na may mga nagtitilian. Na apparently, I guess, one of them is a K-drama actor, I think. Hindi ko...
Si Song Kang, yes.
Yung bida natin. Tama?
Hindi, parang isa siya sa mga yung nag-cameo.
Okay.
Parang siya yung pinaka idol, kumbaga.
Okay. Sige.
Na leading man ng mga K-drama.
Sige, siya. Okay.
Sa kanya pinakamalakas yung tili kasi.
Okay. Pero yun, na parang siguro mas recognizable na siya ng K-drama crowd. Yung mga actors ngayon. As compared to parang them being quote-unquote real actors. Like si Lee Jung Jae tsaka si Jung Woo Sung. Pero yun nga, I appreciated yung kanilang effort to really be enveloped, kumbaga, by the tale that they're trying to say. Especially since sobrang touchy na tong subject na to for all Koreans. Ikaw, what did you think of Escape?
I totally see what you said about, yun nga, parang this is the younger generation's take on the North and South Korean war. Pero for me, I love the stylistic angle or the stylistic lens that it chose to see that conflict. Kasi even yung direction and writing feels like it came from somebody younger. I'm not sure kung anong age ni Lee Jong-pil, pero this take feels so fresh and so modern. Parang it's looking through the eyes of somebody na nadamay lang dito sa war, who doesn't want to be part of this war. And actually, kung marirealize mo nga, di ba, all these actors, nag-serve din sila sa military. They served dun sa mandatory na service sa South Korea. So they actually have that same gravitas din naman na parang hindi naman less than dun sa mga matatanda.
Okay.
Pero they were dragged into this mess at a young age, and yun nga, mandatory na kailangan nilang mag-serve sa war na hindi naman sila yung nagsimula, in a way. And like I said, I like the stylistic choice that it decided to tackle this conflict kasi napaka-creative niya, napaka-unique. We've seen the extremely dour and bitter take dun sa Hunt. We've seen the rom-com sa Crash Landing on You. Pero ito yung parang dark comedy.
May pagka nga,
So, it's giving me a lot of Tarantino vibes when it comes to the dialogue. And even the direction, yung mga sight gags niya, was so very refreshing. Hindi ko to ina-expect dun sa isang movie about North Korean and South Korean conflict. So, parang medyo na-taken aback ako dun, na parang played up siya as a dark comedy. Pero it doesn't take away from the seriousness of the issue at hand. So yon, napaka-creative ng pag-atake niya. Nung, kumbaga, common theme na siya sa mga Korean movies. Pero this one is very unique. And it was so entertaining. I did not expect to be that entertained.
May sinabi ka nung nanonood tayo. And I totally agreed with this. Kasi yung sinasabi mo mga stylistic choices reminded us of a certain director na favorite din natin. Sabi mo na parang Edgar Wright.
Yes.
Yung mga, yung kanyang mga technical stylistic choices like yung framing, yung pag-choreograph ng movements ng mga characters on screen in relation to the camera. Tsaka yung tama yung sabi mo yung mga sight gags na parang, hindi ko lang alam kung matandaan mo to, may part dun na yung kalaban natin. And ito pala, yung kalaban din natin, yung doon naman papasok yung sinasabi mong parang very Tarantino-ish yung writing niya. Kasi yung kalaban, parang medyo may pagka-Hans Landa. Yung, not just yung writing, kasi pwedeng isulat siya na ganong klaseng character, pero yung acting mismo.
Yes.
Na din niya, na bigyan justice nung actor. And that one is...
Koo Kyu-hwan, si Major.
Yan, yes. Si Koo Kyu-hwan. Na, ang galing nung, yung kitang-kita mo yung parang, sobrang niyang shrewd. Magaling siya, matalino siya. Pero alam mong, he's having fun playing with the others who isn't as smart as he is. Yun, na parang medyo playthings niya ng konti yung, either yung mga insubordinates niya, or kahit yung mga superiors niya, na alam niyang, pwede niyang intellectually manipulate.
Yeah.
Yun yung parang lumalabas na pagkakaportray niya dun sa character. And yung sadism na parang nagko-complement dun sa ganong klaseng level of intellect, yun na nabigyan din niya ng justice eh. And even lends to some parang, tama ka nga dun, darkly comic moments. Like, ito, babalik na ako sa sabi na parang Edgar Wright-isms.
Yes.
Yung moment na meron silang in-interrogate na person, so not to spoil this much, pero meron silang in-interrogate na person, tapos meron siyang ginawa dun sa person na yun, tapos, and just like in Edgar Wright, in true Edgar Wright fashion, yung itong si Koo Kyu-hwan, lalapit siya sa foreground. Tapos, yung likodan niya, may nangyayari pa din na activity. So, parang Edgar Wright na parang, we're not just watching this character talking on the foreground, we're also supposed to parang see na yung may nangyayari sa likod na parang halimbawa yung, sabi nating, Hot Fuzz. Yung si Simon Pegg na parang meron siyang kinakausap na someone on screen, tapos yung mga kapwa niya police nagkakaripas dun sa likod na hindi mo alam kung yung ginagawa. Yung sight gag na ganon.
Foreground and background
Yes.
style of storytelling.
Tama.
At saka hindi lang yon, just to add to what you said about the performance of Koo Kyu-hwan, na personify niya talaga yung God complex ng mga military higher-ups. How they just manipulate their lower-ranking soldiers and see them as playthings lang talaga, like not even human. Kuhang-kuha niya yung ganon. Kaya dun pumasok yung Tarantino.
Oo.
Yung Tarantino na, yes, Hans Landa of Inglourious Basterds. Also, maganda yung banter and chemistry nila ni Lee Jae-hoon. Kasi without first establishing their chemistry and how they interact with each other, and I mean, yung mystery ng relationship nila, parang hindi mag-work yung exchange ng, kumbaga yung chess match nila eh. So talagang dapat din matapatan nung kalaban ni Major yung intensity. And nagawa ni Sergeant yon, ni Gyunam.
May scene pa dito. Sorry, medyo babalikan tayo kay Kyu-hwan kasi sobrang noteworthy talaga ng performance niya. Yung introduction pa lang niya na may convoy siya, 'di ba? Yung papunta siya dun sa parang base kung saan naka-captive
naka-hold si Gyunam.
Si Gyunam. Kasi parang nag-try siya mag-attempt mag-escape, tapos nahuli siya within the first 10 minutes. So parang meron siya dapat court-martial doon. Tapos itong si Kyu-hwan, si Major Hyun Sang, siya yung magde-decide ng fate nung sergeant, which we find out eventually magkaibigan pala sila. Pero yung introduction niya, sobrang it sets the tone for the character right away na takot lahat ng mga subordinates niya sa kanya. Tapos na-complement pa nung paggamit ng classical music. Doon sa juxtaposition nung sobrang calm niya, tapos nakikinig siya ng classical music doon sa kanyang sasakyan, sa convoy. Tapos lahat ng mga sundalo nagkakakaripas na parang ayaw nilang ma-bad shot dito sa sundalo na to. And then, hindi lang naman siya parang empty stylistic choice. Yung classical music na gamit actually plays a big part dun sa kanyang, not just his backstory, pero also dun sa pag-further ng plot niya. Kaya, sobrang rare neto makakita ng South Korean movie, na, personally, yung nagpa-punch up above its weight class, kumbaga, so to speak. Kasi, usually, you see this kind of effort from South Korean movies, na either meron ng distribution na na-pick up ng a much bigger or much more boutique na distribution kasi ready na siyang iparada to the world, possibly for award season, or usually mga sine na yung every week may lumalabas na bago tapos forgettable siya. Ito, one step above the forgettable bunch of Korean movies that literally come out every week sa atin dito sa Pilipinas.
Definitely. I definitely agree. Especially, nakikita ko lahat ng inspiration ng director on how he actually crafted this entire film. Kasi kahit yung cinematography niya, it reminds me of Wes Anderson.
Ganun nga din. Tama.
Yung symmetry and yung pagiging surreal niya at times. Talagang you can see na yung auteur eye ng director when he chose those camera shots, when he chose the vista, mga long shots niya. Although may konti akong mga reservations about some plot holes, like yung merong isang group silang na-encounter na parang nawalan na ng sense. Parang hindi na siya nabalikan. So parang plot hole yun.
True.
I mean, we love how this movie looked and sounded and how it was acted. Pero may mga questionable choices din sa story.
Sa script. Yung sinasabi mong yung part na merong narrative element, yun na lang sabihin natin, na pinasok in the middle. Ano lang siya, parang literal na naging plot device lang sila just for the protagonist to get out of a jam later on. So parang siguro, ang naiisip ko dun ng part na yun na nasulat na niya yung buong kwento or until such point na parang dapat makakatakas itong bida natin sa point na to. Pero wala siyang maisip na parang, wait, paano sila tatakas dito? So parang naisip na niya, sige, maglagay tayo ng parang people or something na parang will help them get away eventually. Pero tama ka na.
What do you call them? Red herring?
Hindi, pag sabi kasing red herring, parang misdirect eh. Pwede siguro, oo, pwedeng red herring.
Kasi hindi na nila binalikan.
True.
Anyway, that is an abandoned plot line. So parang dun lang ako, yun lang yung parang gripe ko about this movie.
Mas mag-agree ako dun sa sinabi mo kanina na plot hole siya. Yun. Kasi sinet up sana sila as this sub-conflict in the conflict. Which is sana, parang may depth.
Meron din sana silang cause na pinaglalaban, same as our heroes. So parang it goes in line with their plight.
True.
Parehas sila ng gustong ma-achieve. So parang just forgetting about them nung natapos na yung movie, it's kinda parang, ano na nangyari sa kanila?
At saka nakakatawa kasi meron silang tangible goal sana na establish din na alam din ng mga protagonists natin na okay, this thing they want to get this thing. Yes, the protagonists are parang they were ready nga to parang put their quest on hold to help the new characters ba.
You know what they remind me of? Parang lang to medyo segue lang tayo ng konti.
Sige.
Alam mo yung mga babae dun sa Sisu? Na parang naging bigla na lang silang sumulpot tapos meron din silang mission na meron din silang parang gustong i-achieve dun sa kwento. Pero in the end, para lang silang plot device. Na parang we can do away with them.
Tama.
Kasi wala naman pala silang effect dun sa kwento in the grand scheme of things.
Oo. Alam mo, ito, tama ka dun eh. Yung parang silang yung mga babae dun sa Sisu. Pero what Sisu did properly was hold them until the end. The movie paid off yung kanilang presence dun sa sine.
And kahit paano, binigyan sila ng gagawin nung writer.
Oo.
Whereas dito, parang pang ano lang talaga sila.
Distraction.
Distraction lang talaga.
Oo. Pero, I mean, if I'm gonna be looking back dun sa kabuuan ng sine, parang yun lang nga tayong quibble na meron ko.
Yes, same. Yun nga ang na-realize ko while looking at the Wikipedia page. Parang glorified cameo lang yata. Talaga yung purpose nung pagpasok nung group na yun.
Alam mo yung babae, parang familiar siya. Meron tayong napanood na sine recently na siya. Parang kasi nung una nakita ko, lalo na yung ganun yung pagkakaayos niya, yung character na yun. Parang, wait, shucks, nga ba natin ba to? Basta, I would like to think na she's a big star in Korea, itong nag-cameo bigla. Pero yun nga, parang biglang tumigil yung sine para lang anuhin siya.
And parang ang indicator na sikat to sa K-drama kapag tumitili yung mga kasama natin sa sinehan na parang, okay, K-drama, gets.
Yes. Oo. Pero yun nga, tama ka dun sa sabi mo, medyo minor quibble lang siya in the grand scheme of things. Kasi sobrang, yun nga, we are willing to look past that. And even siguro yung parang yung presence ng quote-unquote cinema scene niya, hindi naman ganun katagal to merit parang you being taken away from the movie itself.
Naman, I can forgive that. Kasi bumawi naman yung movie sa ibang bagay. Especially dun sa thrill niya and excitement niya and how entertaining it was.
Yan. Medyo dahil lang ako. Siguro sa akin lang to, medyo nakulangan ako ng konti dun sa ending. Siguro I was expecting a bit more spectacular setup dun sa katapusan ng kwento niya. Pero parang ang nangyari, nagmumukha naubusan sila ng budget.
Mukha nga. Pero para sa akin, satisfying
okay
naman
siya.
siya.
Yun.
Oo.
Okay lang sa'yo na parang yung ganung, yung basta yun, yung may linyang whatever na yun.
Oo.
Okay. Kasi tinapik kita na parang, alam mo sabi ko sa'yo, yung ending nito parang magiging ending ng Quiet Place Day 1. Ganon ka-thrilling. Pero parang nag-necessitate ng rewrite yung ending kasi parang naubusan na ng pera.
Not really. Hindi ko naman naisip na ganun.
Okay.
Parang ang naisip ko na talagang, ito talaga yung natural progression ng plot niya.
Mm-hmm.
Na talagang marireach niya yung destination niya, pero it will cost him everything.
True.
Until the point na kahit si Major Lee, he will really exhaust all his powers hanggang sa maubos na, hanggang sa hindi na kaya ng powers niya. And that's what happened. Kumbaga, it ended nung parehas na silang ubos na yung choices nila.
True.
So, yun yung parang natural progression of things for me. Kaya satisfying siya.
Oo. Same. Ako, I like this movie a lot. Sinabi ko kasi actually na parang pag nagawi tayo ulit dun sa yung suking tindahan, yung legit hindi yung suking tindahan yung legit na suking tindahan na pinupuntahan natin sa Hong Kong ng mga Blu-ray, etc. Parang gusto ko tong mabili to add to the collection.
Mm-hmm.
Ganun siya kaganda. Ikaw, anything you want to add?
Final thoughts ko siguro about Escape. It was a highly entertaining, well-directed Korean movie. Napaka-unforgettable nung experience. And napaka-charismatic nung dalawang lead character. You really can't look away. You can't help but root for both of them, actually.
Oo nga, no? True. I agree with that. Yeah. Yung talagang kahit yung si Major Lee, gusto mo ding makuha niya kung ano yung gusto niya.
Kasi parehas silang may pinaglalaban eh. Parehas silang nanggagaling from a place of passion and, alam mo yun, intense resolve.
Oo.
Kaya talagang you get invested din kasi nakikita mo kung gaano sila ka-invested dun sa cause nila.
True.
Yeah, one of my top 5 Korean movies siguro. I'll put it up there. Ang ganda niya talaga, ang ganda ng pagkakagawa, the sound design, lahat, balanse yung tone, napakaganda ng pacing. I did not feel the length of the movie. And highly recommended if you love Tarantino and Edgar Wright and Wes Anderson. And if you love good movies, you will love this one.
True. Yeah, I agree with everything you said. And siguro, we'll end it here for Escape. We're giving it a rating of a solid A for this movie. We hope you catch this in cinemas. Di ko alam kung SM lang ba siya or kahit sa ibang sinihan meron. Alam ko parang lahat ata, parang nakita ko na somewhere 100 plus.
Hindi yata siya SM exclusive.
Yes. So, yun. So, if you have this in your nearest cinema, please go ahead and catch this. Great movie, great Korean movie. And that's it for Escape. So let's now go over the other film we have today for this episode. The much-awaited sequel to the 1996 film Twister, which is Twisters.
A retired tornado chaser and meteorologist is persuaded to return to Oklahoma to work with the new team and new technologies.
Yun.
Retired pala siya?
Parang, ito nakuha ko yun sa IMDb. Retired tornado chaser.
Okay. Gets.
Pero parang hindi naman tornado chasing yung ginagawa niya dun sa simula. Parang mas science experiment lang talaga.
Or school project.
School project. Tama.
Kasi parang they're chasing a grant.
True.
Tama ba? For her research. So, it's not like tornado chasing as a career katulad nung kay Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton na talagang...
or yung parang yung kay, dito na lang sa scene na to, yung parang kay Glenn Powell. Yun.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So, yun. Before we go any further, ayun, Roy, what did you think of Twisters?
Medyo magiging... Ayoko sabihin complicated, pero pinanood kasi natin yung Twister ulit for the first time in siguro God knows how long. The night before this premiere for Twisters. And siguro magiging mini review to nung Twister. I don't recall, siguro din dahil sobrang bata pa natin nung una natin napanood to. I don't recall that the film was that cheesy. That parang sobrang romantic nung sine. Sobrang niyang laugh trip. Sobrang niyang funny. Ano siya, so parang yung your standard 90s blockbuster.
Yes.
Yan,
Through and through.
Na it checks all the boxes. You want love, you want a swashbuckling lead, gusto mo nung wisecracking sidekick na ganyan.
The romantic element.
Oo, kahit hindi medyo fit, pero napagkasya nila, surprisingly, andon. And also, it's very unsettling to see a very jolly Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Very Seth Rogen.
Diba? Parang pagkakakilanlan natin kay Philip Seymour Hoffman yung mga Capote. Or Boogie Nights. Or Mission Impossible 3. Yun, yung kalaban siya doon na sobrang nakakatakot niya. Pero seeing him dito na parang tama ka na sabi niya Seth Rogen.
Napaka bum.
Parang nakaka-unnerve siya tignan. Especially since, of course, he has long since passed and we now know yung kanyang personal struggles behind the scenes.
Parang it's nice to see him having fun.
Yun. Kasi parang yung the later movies niya, parang hindi na siya nag-enjoy.
Very much like Heath Ledger.
Oo, parang ganun.
Siguro, yun yung pakiramdam ko every time I watch Heath Ledger, yung A Knight's Tale.
Yun.
Tsaka
yung 10 Things.
Yan. Na parang they're just being a goofball. Na parang I miss seeing them like that. Instead of yung sobrang dour and sobrang dark nung mga roles na tinitake nila.
True.
That may or may not have affected their frame of mind. Alam mo yun?
Tama.
Anyway, na ano na ako.
Okay lang naman. Kasi yun na nga yun. Okay lang. Kasi yung it's his performance nga actually makes this yung sinasabi natin kanina, the quintessential 90s movie. Yung ganong, and of course, credit to Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt, na I think this is the movie that launched her to the stratosphere. Kasi parang before this, she was just on TV. Pasitcom lang siya.
Nauna ba to kaysa dun sa As Good As It Gets?
I think so.
Okay.
Kasi 96 to, 97 yun. Tapos sumunod na yung mga
So,
What Women
itong
Want.
star-making movie niya.
Yes. So keep this in mind, our fellow Cinegeeks, when we talk about Twisters later, na yung star power ni Helen Hunt dito was on full display. Retrospectively looking at this, na kasi years later, we know her as this multi-awarded actress, etc. Pero at that point in time, na wala pa siyang, di ba wala napapatunayan, pero wala pa siya ng accolades na kakalap niya. Yan. It was very impressive how much of a screen presence she had. Bill Paxton, of course, action movies galore na siya since the 80s. So, siya parang...
Mas siya yung parang top biller.
Yes, mas siya yung kilala talaga na actor from movies. Pero yung kagandahan ng Twisters is sobra lang niyang elegantly simple.
Twister 1.
Twister 1. Sorry, Twister.
Twisters kasi yung isa eh. So, Twister 1 na lang yung isa kasi malilito tayo.
Sige, 1 and 2. Yan. Thank you. Yung 1, sobrang niyang elegantly simple nung kwento. It was just about trying to map a tornado from the inside. Yan. Pinakita na agad sa atin kung ano yung mga stuff that we had. We the characters have. Meron na agad clear framing ng goals natin and how the characters want to achieve those goals. Yan. And yung complications that arose from the story itself are very natural.
Yes.
Diba? Na hindi siya yung parang complications for the sake of complications. That there's literally twisters here. May mga mga tornadoes. May mga tornadoes. And they just have to stay alive enough to complete their mission.
Yeah. So, tapos ba yung review mo ng Twister 1?
Yun, kaya yun sobrang nakakatuwa siya kasi ang simple lang niya, ang enjoy kasama ng mga characters. And what else can you expect from the director who made Speed 1? Yung Keanu and Sandra Bullock na Speed. Diba? Yung ganung klaseng kasimple-simple.
And sustained intensity.
Yun, ang pinaka-importante doon.
Yun.
Okay,
let's go now to Twister 2. Or Twisters.
Dito naman sa 2, masyado naman siyang komplikado.
How so?
And we're gonna be diving into spoilers dito sa ating discussion kasi it's impossible to talk about the movie without talking about the movie itself in detail. Kaya napaka-komplikado niya kasi yung sa simula, nangyari, may yung incident with our lead, yung si Daisy Edgar Jones. They're trying to find out if they can kill a tornado Tama ba? Parang
Parang i-dissipate yung tornado. Pero before that, meron siyang backstory. Diba?
I think.
She's a reluctant tornado chaser.
Oo. Kasi mas more science lang siya.
Traumatized siya kasi.
Yun na nga. Ito na nga yun eh. Yung
spoiler.
We're getting into details na. So yung backstory niya nga is yung may team siya, sila mga kaibigan niya, they're trying to prove an experiment if they can dissipate a tornado using chemicals. Even then nga, parang ako naisip ko, ano mangyayari sa chemicals kapag nawala na yung tornado?
Exactly. I have so many science questions. I'm so sorry. I'm a science nerd.
Perfect nga sa'yo itong scene na to. Pero I'll get back to you doon sa ano na yun. Mamaya-maya. Pero ito, yun. Nung masyadong malakas yung tornado na hinabol nila for their experiment, ending, namatay yung team niya. Save for Anthony Ramos.
Yes.
Tapos, years later, tinawag siya ni Anthony Ramos kasi siya daw yung parang the best at tracking a tornado. Something like that. So,
is that like a profession?
Yun nga, hindi ko magets din.
At least, dun sa ito, kasi we'll go back and forth sa Twister 1 and 2.
Yes.
Sa Twister 1, Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton invented Dorothy. Kumbaga yun yung anak nila.
Yun pa. True,
diba?
true.
They are inventors who chase tornadoes in order to parang study them and create parang a scanning device or a scanning program para ma-map out nila and makita nila yung behavior ng tornado.
Yes, tama.
So, para din magkaroon ng warning system. Yun yung pinaka-purpose. Simple, di ba? Sa Twister 1. Sa Twister 2, yun. Parang she's the best at what? At what exactly?
She's the best just because she's smart. And nothing against that. We don't want to say na parang pag babaeng character, matalino, parang kailangan bida, na bad thing siya pag bida. Hindi eh. Pero, make it make sense. Why is she the best? She's the best at what? Tama ka na sa question mo eh.
Kasi yun nga parang siya na lang daw yung kulang sa isang team of uber-talented scientists na from NASA, from Caltech. Meron pa silang parang gag about somebody na engineer lang. Parang Big Bang Theory joke. Wolowitz.
Ngayon ko na nag-gets naman. Sige.
Diba? Meron silang Wolowitz dun sa team pero okay na daw yan, pwede na. Tapos siya na lang yung kulang. So what exactly makes her qualified?
Si Wolowitz, yung Wolowitz character ba? Si Superman?
Hindi.
Ay, hindi ba? May iba pa?
Iba pa.
So sight gag lang talaga din siya?
Oo. TBBT joke lang talaga siya.
Okay, sige.
So parang medyo pa-viral pa nga ako. Okay. Pero ayun nga, what exactly is she good at? Kasi the last time we saw her, she was in school. Who did this failed experiment that got her friends killed. So, yung nandun na siya sa parang analyst siya sa isang hindi ko alam kung NASA ba yun or alam kung pag-asa ng Amerika.
Nakalimutan ko yung term.
Basta yung pag-asa nila.
Yun, tama. Okay.
Anyway, ayun. So, what exactly is she good at? Kasi, ayun nga, are we just to accept it na, okay, she's the best, let's just move on, audience, just accept that.
Ito din may sinabi ka na parang yung pagkakasulat nung sa one, na it made sense kung bakit sila naghahabol. Kasi si Helen Hunt is already a PhD. May credentials na siya agad to study.
Doctor nga siya, di ba?
Oo. Tapos, itong si Bill Paxton is a weatherman. So, pwede natin sabihin na nagkataon na sumama siya dun sa team nila Helen Hunt ulit after a long time. Magpapapirma lang sana siya ng divorce papers pero napasama siya ulit. Pero may dahilan kung bakit siya sinabi na, uy, sumama ka sa amin, kailangan ka namin. Kasi weatherman siya.
At saka they invented nga Dorothy.
Yun pa, which was sadly relegated to a member-berry cameo. Uy, kita niyo, Dorothy, di ba? Yun yung sa one. Parang, oh God. Hindi man lang siya nag-play ng part in the climax of this film. Pero, yun pa, yung sinabi mo na, why do we need her? Why do we need her as a lead character? And on top of that, on a meta perspective, I mean, sorry if many of you know Edgar Jones from other better stuff that she's been in, pero she was horribly miscast here.
Hindi ko maramdaman yung trauma niya. Parang nakulangan ako sa acting niya. I mean, sure, parang she may be great in other roles, pero Helen Hunt, she is not.
Oo.
Kasi yung pagiging take charge ni Helen Hunt dun sa mga chase nila was, you can feel it na siya yung leader talaga. She calls the shots. Pero every time na si Daisy kasama dun sa mission, everybody's questioning her. And I am inclined to question her as well. Kasi nga, hindi naman din na-establish yung authority niya to be the lead in this. Diba?
Hashtag Superman was right.
Yeah. Kasi tama nga na parang why are you calling the shots? Who are you? Diba? Who are you to call the shots? Puro mga mas in-establish pa nga yung achievements ng mga support ng team. Pero siya, she just knows a guy.
May crush lang sa kanya yung yung character ni Anthony Ramos.
Okay, so simple lang talaga si Anthony Ramos kaya sinama niya si girl. Oh my God.
And hindi nga sasabi, we've been saying sa kanina pa na Superman is in this movie. The next Superman, David Corenswet, has a role as the business partner of Anthony Ramos' character. And we end up, ito nakakatawa dun sa una, parang sobrang siguro product of the 90s sa Twister 1, na ang villain natin dun, kung matatawag natin silang villain, yung mga established na mga scientist groups, yung sila Cary Elwes. Dito, kasama natin sila sa una pa lang. Actually, technically, yung character ni Anthony Ramos is the Cary Elwes character from the first film.
Sila yung mga suits.
Sila yung suits, yes. Tama. Yung science for profit.
Sila yung Joja.
Yeah.
If you play Stardew Valley, sila yung Joja.
Sige nga, tawagin. Sige, yung Joja team dito. Yan, sila Anthony Ramos. Yan. Ni-recruit nila tong si Daisy Edgar Jones, si Kate. Yan, sige, si Kate. So, si Javi, Anthony Ramos, recruits Kate kasi magkaklase sila noon sa, yung parang prologue nung scene na namatay lahat ng kaibigan niya.
Hindi pa ba yun parang, ominous enough?
Kaya na, diba? Parang red flag.
Yung team nila, 3 people out of 5 died. That's 60%.
Imagine mo kung sumama pa siya dun sa yung batch nung namatay, kahit siya wala na rin siya dapat.
60% mortality rate, yung partnership nila.
Actually, nag-play into the movie ngayon later on eh. Kasi yung dun sa yung nagre-reklamo, yun sila doon. Kasi 6 sila dapat sa scene na yun. Sorry, just jumping forward. Babalik tayo. Yung scene na yun na 6 sila, including the innkeeper, nitry na magtago. Tapos, yung dalawang nakakainis dun sa scene na yun, namatay. Tapos yung innkeeper namatay din. 60% naman 60% mortality rate nga talaga siya. She's a walking death rate.
Yeah.
Kaya, I mean, sige, to be a bit serious, yun na nga eh. The movie wants us to believe na she's this seasoned pro at what they're doing. Pero hindi ko lang talaga makita sa acting niya.
Hindi rin, kahit yung writing, at this point kasi, she's a pencil pusher.
True.
For 5 years. Kasi in-indicate yun na may 5 years na time jump. So, paano pa siya naging expert if she's out of practice? Na nasa opisina na lang siya at nasa, na siya, sitting behind the desk for 5 years.
At saka paano siya kinuha ng pag-asa kung meron pala siyang history na meron siyang experiment na may namatay sa kasama niya?
Hindi, okay lang yon kasi nga, naging pencil pusher siya.
Okay.
So, she works behind the desk.
Okay.
So, yun. Pero, bakit siya pa rin yung best dito sa mission na to? 5 years na siyang relegated.
True.
Yun. Sige.
Sige,
ito na lang siguro.
Crush lang talaga siya ni Javi. Yun lang.
Ito na yan na yung, I leave it at that kasi nagre-rage na ako And, I'm such a fan of Helen Hunt and the first one, kaya din siguro ako biased. Pero, there is a good element in this movie naman. One saving grace in this movie.
Yes. Buti na lang dito siya. Kung hindi, nag-fail miserably tong scene na to. And that's our favorite movie star du jour, Glenn Powell.
Yes.
Bangklase.
Every time he's on screen, dun lang ako nabubuhayan. Parang siya lang talaga yung belong dun sa Twister universe na yon.
Oo nga Hindi ko sa akin for a legacy sequel, hindi ko maintindihan kung bakit napaka-komplikado nung ginawa nilang kwento. Kasi pag nagre-legacy sequel naman, usually, it just follows the trajectory of the old film. Hindi man beat by beat. Yun yung mga bad legacy sequels. Pero the good ones, they know how to parang finesse the same narrative beats into different parang molds, kumbaga. Like,
case in point, Bad Boys, Ride or Die.
Yun, di ba? Or, I was gonna say actually, Tron Legacy. Yun, Tron Legacy, Top Gun Maverick, they followed the story of the first film.
The formula.
Almost
to a T.
Oo. Siyempre, ibang characters, ibang kasama, ganyan. Pero that's why people watch these films because they want to experience the familiar thrill, the familiar satisfaction of watching the story nung una. Kaya sobrang successful yun. Top Gun Maverick, $1.5 billion worldwide. During a pandemic, hindi pa nga-cleared yung pandemic nun, pero successful siyang ganun. Ito, parang, yun na nga, ang komplikado. Tapos, minisuse pa niya si Glenn. Si Glenn Powell, pumasok siya at 40 minutes into the film.
Alam ko ba? Dapat si Glenn Powell na lang yung bida eh. Ayan na naman, naka-high blood na naman ako. Tapos, hindi ko pa nga gusto yung pagkaka-characterize kay Glenn Powell eh. Kasi, ginawa silang parang clout chaser YouTubers eh. Na parang sobrang hayok na hayok sa views. Alam mo yung lahat na lang, ultimo, pag CR nila, siguro binablog nila. Alam mo yung mga ganun? Yung talagang oversharer sa YouTube. Parang sila, sila Logan Paul, ganun. Mga GGSS. Nakakainis kasi wala namang ganun sa...
Tapos eventually malalaman natin na ano naman pala sila. They're clout chasers with a heart.
Leching with a heart plan. So, yung parang ginagawa din ng mga YouTubers pang tax write-off. Biglang mag-charity. Tapos, pero binibidyohan din nila. Ganun.
Ito, nakakatawa kita. Ako, hindi ko lang alam kung napa-eye-roll ka din doon. Kasi, di ba, the movie sets up yung team ni Glenn Powell, itong mga tornado clout chasers.
They're not even qualified. Hindi sila oh my God, ang dami-dami talaga. Sorry, go ahead.
Kasi, sige, I'll get to what you just said in a moment. Pero yung pinapakita na sobrang gaspang nung nila, ugali nila, sobrang nakakatawa nga kasi parang the film goes out of its way to say na, hey, essentially, Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton's team are the antagonists here. And then we're supposed to root for Joja. Sila yung parang good guys ngayon. Ang weird nagginawang ganun.
Parang inano pa nga sila parang put in a negative light nung una. Nung pagka-introduce sa kanila na parang ito yung mga dugyot na cloud chasers na YouTubers na hindi naman qualified. Tapos ginagawa lang to para lang mag-fireworks sa
gitna ng
tornado. Wala naman silang parang talagang purpose sa paggawa nun except to chase thrills, ganon. Parang ang cheap naman. Chinipin nila yung team ng Twister 1.
Oo.
Na parang ganun lang pala sila. Puro mga dugyot na bomb.
True. And then, eventually, parang, nakalimutan nung writer na, ito pala yung mga bida natin. Tapos,
they kinda forgot.
Nag-shoehorn sila bigla ng moment na, parang,
tumutulong naman sila sa mga nasalante.
Yun.
Diba?
Tawa ka.
Cloud chasers with a heart.
Ay, Diyos ko, nayasip. Oo, parang, ayoko na magpangalan. Pero parang, yung may mga sikat sa TikTok at sa YouTube, just here in the Philippines. Na kung nung kadugyutan ng ginagawa sa social media, tapos biglang...
Tapos poverty porn. Oo. Magtutulong sa, magdo-donate sa charity, tutulong sa mga mahihirap, magbibigay, pero kailangan naka-video.
Oo.
Diba?
Yun nga.
So, absolve them of every parang dirty clout chasing thing they do.
True.
Halata bang high blood tayo?
Hindi naman. Natutuwa nga ako na you saw it that way kasi hindi ko nakita. Nakikita ko na parang ito yung mga obnoxious na mga social media clout chasers, yung pagkaka-characterize nila. Pero hindi ko naisip na parang sila yung yung mga nandito sa Pilipinas na mga wag natin papangalanan.
I know so many of them.
Ay, nako.
Na pati yung charity ginagamit as content, diba?
True.
I know. Parang disappointing.
Nakakainis lang kasi yung story nito, si Joe Kosinski nagsulat and siya yung director ng Top Gun Maverick. Yun, siya yung nag-direct ng Oblivion. Yung alam mong merong utak. Siya din nag-direct ng Tron Legacy. Sinasabi natin kanina na this guy knows how to make legacy sequels. Pero bakit parang dito, nagkanda loko-loko tayo? Ano nangyari, sir? Story ka lang, story credit, hindi ikaw yung screenplay. Pero talaga, you can't make a movie na near beat-by-beat recreational lang nung una.
Baka ito na yung dud niya. Kasi hindi pa natin nasasabi yung parang menage a trois na angle.
Oh my God. Actually, kaya siguro hindi niya dinirect ito. Kasi alam niyang parang olats yung sarili niyang kwento. Pinasa niya sa iba. Galing din. So smart.
Tapos hindi man lang in-address yung climate change.
Well, that's a very good point you made.
But he said a statement about it. I'm aware.
Sino?
Si Lee Isaac Chung.
Si Chung, may sinabi siya recently lumabas na, ayaw nilang gawing politicized.
Or preachy.
Preachy yung sine. Ito nga yung sige, going back to preachy. nakakatawa kasi dun sa Twister 1, ang aim lang nila is they want to make sure na tornadoes are predictable. So, to help people. Ito,
To warn people.
Para makaalis sila dun sa tornado path. Dito, parang gusto nilang at matutunan kung pwede sila mag-dissipate ng tornado. Tapos, eventually, sinabi nila na hindi enough yung pag-map nung loob. Gusto nilang i-map yung labas, 3D.
Hindi, magkaiba pa sila ng purpose eh. Yung Joja team at saka yung mga YouTubers.
Yung mga YouTubers.
Oo.
May purpose ba yung mga YouTubers? Parang wala naman sila.
Wala, nagkaroon nag-get behind na lang sila kay girl.
Kay girl.
Pero wala talaga silang purpose. Ang purpose lang talaga nila, content.
Nag-get behind lang sila kasi yung lang chief content creator nila.
Kasi nabetan ni Glenn Powell si Kate. Yun lang yun. Pero, yun, parang, sige, mag-chase sila kasi exciting, ayan, adrenaline junkies sila. Pero, tutulong din sila, since nandun na sila. Parang ganun.
Parang, oo nga. Tapos, ang meron lang credential dun sa team nila, ng mga cloud chasers.
Si Glenn Powell lang.
Si Glenn, kasi nag-graduate siya ng meteorology, tapos naging cloud chaser siya. Naging YouTuber siya.
Tapos, alam mo yun, hindi, bumili na kayo ng merch namin kasi dinodonate naman namin yan.
Oo, kasi yung proceeds naman nito, pumupunta naman doon sa mga nasalanta ng bagyo. Ha? Huh? Basta, ang weird nung pagkaka-invert, pagkaka-bastardize nung kwento ng Twister 1.
Ito lang, babalikan ko lang to. Kasi I need to get this off my chest.
Go ahead, please.
Yung chemical na pang-dissipate nung tornado was not explained at all. I mean, nagkaroon sila ng parang science stuff in the middle.
Ang daming ang mambo-jumbo na jargon dito na parang nag-make sense pa kaya yun?
Hindi, parang something about the moisture and all that. Tapos, hindi man lang inano kung paano ba niya dinevelop yung goo na yun, yung slime na gusto niyang ipahigop sa tornado to dissipate it. Basta meron nang nag-exist na formula. Basta let's just go with that.
Sige.
Tapos parang mali yung mali yung science niya kaya namatay yung mga friends niya. Okay. So what changed this time? Why did it succeed this time? Ano yung binago niya? Tapos hindi rin na-explain na ano ba yung nandun sa chemical na yon? Is that even safe kapag na-enter na niya yung atmosphere? Tapos, yung chemical waste nun, saan mapupunta? 'Di ba? Kasi, syempre, hihigupin ang hangin niya, no? Sasama siya dun sa tornado. Ang daming gallons nun, 'di ba? Tapos, anong mangyayari? 'Di ba kasi nasa wheat fields 'yon, yung mga sa Oklahoma. So, maaapektuhan ba yung crops nung chemical waste na babagsak kasi hindi naman pwedeng mag-disappear 'yon pagkahigop, 'di ba? It dissipated the tornado and then what?
Then what? Tama.
Okay, rant over.
Hindi kasi tama ka naman dun eh. Kasi yun na nga yun. Sige, yun yung second niyang gustong gawin pa. Na gusto niyang parang maging scientific statement na parang we can discover new ways of parang saving mankind. I get that. That's all well and good. Pero when you're making a movie about science, make the science make sense.
Yun pa. Gusto ko rin tanungin, what is Kate really? Is she a physicist, a meteorologist, or a chemist?
Ang dami niyang alam.
Tapos, anong nangyari? Wala man lang siyang mga peers na pwedeng mag-contribute dun sa, dun sa paper niya? Para to improve on it?
Si Bebe Boy 1 lang. Si Javi.
Kasi kahit nga si Anthony Ramos, hindi naman siya nag-contribute dun sa na yun eh. Parang siya lang yung nagmo-monitor nung scanners eh. Nung umpisa eh, nung backstory eh.
Tapos hindi na nga nabalikan yun. Yung gusto nilang gawin dun sa Joja. Na parang gusto nilang mag 3-dimensional choo-choo nung tornado. For what? Hindi in-explain. Tapos eventually malalaman natin na yung nagbabankroll pala nung Joja, parang essentially, parang Camellia Homes.
I mean,
na gagamitin nila yung mga nasalanta ng tornado and buy their land from them. So parang even then, meron pang isa pang gusto sabihin.
Meron pa siyang political angle. Ang dami mong gustong gawin. Ang dami mong gustong sabihin. Nasa-stress na ako sa'yo.
Nakakainis.
Tapos di man lang niya na gawa kahit isa ng maayos at malinis. Buti na lang talaga nandyan si Glenn Powell eh. Kasi kung wala siya dyan, walay na talaga siya.
At saka buti na lang talaga. I mean, for all the crap we are giving now doon sa kanyang narrative aspect, magaling yung pagkakagawa ng special effects ngayon. Kasi doon sa Twister 1, kitang-kita mo na, ang cute. Ang cute ng Twister. Pero
ba't mas nakakatakot yun? Especially nung nandun sila sa open air cinema.
Yung Noon. Yun na nga eh. Kasi nga ito, pansin mo dun sa yung open air cinema scene, we don't see the tornado that much. Dun sa una.
Pero nakikita natin yung reaction nila tsaka yung, di ba nga sabi ko sa'yo, napaka-practical kasi nasa loob lang sila, interior, but you can still feel the tornado outside.
Yes.
You don't need a lot of special effects. You just need to sell the fear.
Yes.
You just need to show it on screen and people will feel it.
Ang ganda nung hindi nila pinakita masyado yung tornado dun sa yung scene na yun sasabi sa drive-in, na yung kulog lang yung nagfa-flash from time to time, letting us know that, hey, the tornado it's there. You just can't see it now, puro hangin lang, pero yes, it's almost here. Ito, compared to this, yung tornado scene sa sinihan naman ngayon, spectacular siya. I mean, we have to give it to them. Maganda yung pagkakagawa talaga nung disaster movie elements nito. Pero going over your point, you're right in saying na sometimes there's such a thing as overkill. Na yung we want to believe the fear. We want to be afraid of what we can't see on screen din. Yon, mas nakakatakot yung kung ano yung nasa utak natin, the pictures that we make, the boogeymen we create, than seeing it na parang okay, the storm is there, parang kumagano'n talaga.
Tsaka at this day and age, we've seen a lot of that already.
True.
It's very difficult now to scare us with visual effects.
Yeah.
Mas more siya yung, going back to Long Legs. Parang it gets under your skin more if the mental images you create in your head is the one that, alam mo yun talaga yung innate fear mo eh.
That's
true. Yung imagination mismo mo, yung gumagawa.
Tsaka masabi ko lang, sorry, kasi andito na sana si Joseph Kosinski. Very capable director. Sorry, masabi ko lang, yung director neto, parang ang ano niya, kahit siya, miscast siya. Doon sa sine, si Lee Isaac Chung.
How so?
Papagawin mo ng twisters tong si Sir. Sige, fine. Admirable job. Pero yung last na ginawa niya sine, Minari.
Napaka-understated niyang Minari.
Ang layo no. Ang layo ng dalawang sine. Di ba?
Biglang blockbuster ang ipapagawa mo na heavy visual effects. Yung Minari is nothing like that.
Yes.
At all.
It's a very understated, very serene, very calm movie. Tapos bigla mo bibigyan ng twisters. I struggle to find the reason why he was hired to do this.
Miscast nga din siya.
Di ba? Kasi
pagod ako. That same feeling I felt after watching Twisters. Napagod din ako.
yun pa, one last thing, kasi parang sobrang negative na siguro natin. This movie needed more cow.
Walang flying cow?
Ay, wala. So, ano mo yung talagang, kahit dun sa dulo, na mo, kahit ano man lang, sige, sabihin natin na, okay, fine, PETA is going to be up their ass kapag may baka na lumipad dyan. Pero couldn't they parang write in a plastic cow na nakalagay sa bubong nung isang building tapos nilipad din? Tapos yun na lang, umikot na lang yung cow na yun. Parang,
so the boys nga nagawa ng flying sheep?
Ba naman the boy? Sorry, side if you haven't watched season 4 of The Boys, kompleto na siya. Have to watch it. Ayun, going back. Yun nga, it's the things that the people know about something, about a legacy IP. That's the reason why they come back. Na parang, for Tron Legacy, they wait for Jeff Bridges to appear. Yung si Clue. Kamukha niya yung Tron, yung Jeff Bridges character, so on. So may visual totem tayo. Top Gun Maverick, it's exactly like Top Gun 1.
Pero higher stakes.
Higher stakes, exactly.
But ano yung higher stakes exactly dito?
Wala.
Why didn't they push it, di ba?
Wala.
Especially now that we have better technology to detect and scan tornadoes. Tapos we have more extreme weather now. Diba? Parang hindi nila na-correlate yung extremes na yon in this modern times. Ang ganda sanang angle nun eh. Diba?
True.
Pero kasi they wanted to play safe. Kasi nga, ang daming mga truthers sa Amerika and they don't accept climate change. Parang, why is it political? That's science. Ewan ko ba?
Buti na lang talaga andyan si Glenn Powell. I mean, for all the quibble that we have about how poorly written his character was, I mean, this is an undeniable next step in his quest to become the next Tom Cruise. And it's funny kasi doon sa premiere ng Twister sa London, andun si Manong Tom. At ang kwento ni Anthony Ramos nung magkatabi si Glenn tsaka si Tom, ang kulit-kulit daw ni Tom kasi parang, yeah man, you're so awesome man, that was cool man. Parang hina-hype up talaga ni Tom Cruise. Maging heir apparent niya si Glenn Powell talaga.
I mean, that's good. Pero kailangan niya pang turuan si Glenn Powell na kapag ganyan, kailangan ikaw ang bida.
Yeah. I mean, for all the crap naman that people throw at Tom Cruise, some justified, some not, kapag siya may project, mini-make sure niya na hindi siya magmumukhang masama.
And hindi siya magmumukhang stupid.
True.
Na parang self-absorbed clout chaser.
True. Ito na yung next lesson in the ascension of Glenn Powell to movie godhood. Please choose movies that make you look good.
Yeah.
In both aesthetics and in narrative. Yan, wag ka magmukhang tanga, men. Yung naman, mukhang hero talaga.
Mas qualified pa nga siya actually kasi mas na-establish na meteorology graduate siya and talagang meron siyang real parang innate talent and intuition for what he's doing.
Yeah, that's true.
Siya dapat yung bida talaga.
Actually, siya nga talaga.
Okay.
Talaga. Ay, nako. Pero, maganda pa rin yung special effects. Magaling yung technical craft behind the camera. I can give it that. Yeah, B+ for us, no?
Yeah.
Oh, yan. Agree ka ba doon?
Yeah, wala na akong final thoughts. Parang nasabi ko na lahat.
Yes. By the way, thank you for the mini science lesson kanina.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Alam mo talaga, I'm pretty sure that people around the world are going to have a lot to say about the science of this film.
Not that I'm focusing on the science, okay? Pero mas sinimplify kasi nung one. There was even a visual guide for people who are not into science that much para mas maintindihan ng layman. And yun nga, parang kung maglalagay ka ng sobrang complicated science, at least simplify it for the layman, for the normies. Hindi yung babagsak ka na lang and then parang okay lang kasi hindi naman din nila maiintindihan Paano yung mga nakakaintindi, di ba?
Kawawa tayong mga nakaintindi.
Yeah.
Pero, negatives, yun nga, science doesn't make sense. Characters poorly written. Pero on the flip side, we have Glenn and awesome disaster movie effects. No problem. So, I guess that's it for this episode. Medyo
pagod ako.
Napagod din. Kasing intense nung dalawang sine pinag-usapan natin yung ating episode today, which we talked about Twisters and Escape. Yes, if you've seen any one or all of the movies we've talked about today, please share with us what you thought about it. Again, we have the fan mail link on our episode notes, or if you want, you can comment it on our social media accounts, on the Cinegeeks PHHQ, or down below on the episode comment section on Spotify.
Don't forget to set your players to automatically download our new episodes so you don't miss out on our fun Cinegeek conversations. And while you're at it, give us a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you had fun or learned something new or raged with me.
I'm pretty sure they learned something new
during this episode. Sorry again.
It's okay.
For the science lecture.
And we, by the way, want to thank Warner Brothers Philippines and Viva International Pictures for inviting us to the advanced screenings of Twisters and Escape, respectively. But as always, the studios and distributors of the films were not given any creative control or editorial approval of this episode. They are hearing our review for the first time, same as you are.
For my co-host Troy, this has been Angela. Thank you for listening to the Cinegeeks podcast, where movies, TV, and all things geek collide.